Live, live on the air. Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I don't think we have any viewers at the moment, but thanks anyways. Maybe we'll get some viewers in the future when it gets on the on YouTube, so it stays on YouTube. Anyways, I wanted to discuss today some political memes that are I'm seeing on threads lately. In particular, I wanted to discuss the allegation made by right-wing sophistry, plutocratic sophistry meme of that alleges that those that are trying to promote or bring about redistribution of wealth through higher taxes on the wealthy, the allegation that they are engaging in the politics of envy. Now let's just set aside for a moment that that's completely ad hominem to whether or not it's fair for the ultra wealthy to hoard such wealth in such high concentration of mountains of material wealth, or that it's a good way to most effectively run an economy to have such a concentration of wealth in these mountains of, or I should call them maybe torpid pools of material holdings, rather than, I think, would be more effective, actually effective for the economy if the wealth is better distributed among the masses, so that would increase the aggregate demand. People would have more money in their hands to spend in the retail environment and other parts of the, the retail, economy and other parts of the economy, if they had more funds, if less funds were in these torpid pools of wealth, not doing much of anything for the economy, versus the masses having more funds to spend on products. It's a simple principle that even the simpleton Henry Ford understood. That's why he paid his workers more, so that they'd have enough money to buy the very product that they produce. It's just increase demand by paying them more. So that's just to be more effective. But let's just put aside all the questions of fairness and effectiveness in terms of the economy, all this the hoarding of wealth and the lack of taxation to help redistribute that wealth. Let's just talk about, well, what is the motive for bringing for trying to have a more balanced, more evenly spread out amount of the material wealth of the nation? What's the motive for doing that? And I could respond that instead of envy, I'd like to recycle an old meme. You don't hear as much about it anymore, that was propagated by more like the right-wing Republicans. That's the family values. I think a lot of the workers, they would just simply like to have a little more fun so that they could spend more time with their family and be able to work fewer hours. If they got paid more and be able to work fewer hours, they could spend more time with their family, have quality time with their family, and maybe go on a vacation too, or have a chance to go on vacation, both the funds and the time allotted, so they don't have to, if they didn't have to work so many weeks a year, they could have a few more weeks off, and then also have the funds enough to actually go somewhere for a vacation. Now, those are family values. That's something that people would like to, but it's not nothing. There's nothing decadent about that. They're not trying to be lavishly or gluttonously accumulate wealth. That's not the reason for wanting to have more share of the wealth of the nation, rather than having it all concentrated among the wealthy few. There's nothing. That's nothing envious about that. They just it's a good, honest, good honest want to be able to have enough funds and enough time to spend quality time with their family, the workers. And so that is in itself part of the. I mean, that there's nothing. I mean, but the thing is, that's what I'm wondering. Where are they coming up with these memes, these right wing memes such as envy, calling it political envy, trying to get the wealth, people that want wealth redistributed, accusing them of just being envious of those with more wealth. And I'm thinking this, wondering if the plutocratic, these billionaires, they're starting up some of these. They have these think tanks, and these that they've started. I know they exist for sure. What are they doing over in those think tanks? And what I suspect is going on is they workshop different memes, and actually, I'm guessing they probably do some like psychological studies. Maybe have some subjects, probably maybe even pay them the subjects, or do some surveys and trying to figure out what's going to work to try to keep people from trying to keep the masses down, the population, the plebs. How to keep them from rallying together in mass to go after the plutocrats' funds. So they don't want that. They're just a greedy set. That's how they got their money. They're greedy. They don't care about the masses. It's not. All they care about is trying to keep as much of their funds as possible. They're all a bunch of like pre-epiphany Scrooges. They just greedily want to keep on every single dime. They do not want the masses, the population, to have any more than the plutocrats absolutely have to give out. So they try to find out ways to keep the masses down, so they're not they do not want to, so that the masses do not rise up and just demand that they give a more fair share of the billionaires, or a fair share of that wealth held by the billionaires. So what are these think tanks doing? These plutocratic think tanks. Well, I'm suspecting that they do these psychological studies and see what sort of narrative is that can be propagated that will keep the masses subdued, keep them from demanding a fair amount of that wealth. And maybe they workshop this meme about politics of envy, that try to claim that anybody that trying to say, oh, well, we need to tax the rich more and redistribute, they're just envious. And so what maybe happened is they came back with results and say, hey, that scored the highest. People don't want to think of themselves as envious. The masses, most of them, they're like very down to earth, salt of the earth people, hard workers, and they don't want to think of themselves as being envious sort. And so if you can convince them, well, that's what you're being envious when you try to say, oh, we need to, when you say they need to tax the rich, that's just envy. And so people the masses will just like slink down and say, oh, I don't want to be envious, so I'll just go back to my business and not stop demanding redistribution of wealth through taxes. And so I just want to like wake people up and show how it's like that's the opposite of the reality. People just want to have more time with their family, a little more funds, and for just a few niceties, and it's only fair and just that more of that of the wealth is just redistributed from the billionaires to the rest of the population. We need to squash these memes that are absurd on its face. Often also read about people say, oh, well, these billionaires, they work so hard for their money, they deserve it. But when you look at, say, Amazon, distribution centers. They work their butts off there. They work extremely hard. If it's a function of if wealth should be a function of how hard people work, then those blue collar workers at the Amazon distribution centers should be paid a lot more than they are. They don't get paid very much. Especially compared to like the billionaire plutocrat Jeff Bezos. If it's hard work, if that's what should be the governing measure of or factor of reason why people are paid more, then they should be paid. I don't know how much, $50 an hour. I think that'd be reasonable. But so that's the people but that's not just the Amazon warehouses. It's always been the case. People are busting their butts, working extremely hard in all sorts of jobs around the country, both blue collar and white collar, but they get paid a pittance. They work hard too. So if they should be, so then by that standard, they should be getting a lot more proportion of the wealth of the revenue and profits of a company than they are getting as a rule. And so it's like, sure. If you want to talk about working hard, yeah, then the blue collar Americans and hourly white collar workers, okay, then let's use that standard. Let's get them, take some money away from the billionaires and give it to the hardworking working class people of America. Absolutely. So okay, well, yeah, let's use that standard. Fine. We need to wake up and see what kind of absurd sophistry that these plutocrats are propagating, and really look into it and see how it's absurd on its face. Or if not on its face, then go just a little bit deeper, and we'll see that. Well, no, that's if we go, it doesn't make a lot of sense what they're trying to promote. So what we need is to have a system that does redistribute wealth. Oh yeah, I think, and then there's another meme I've often read, is that people that aren't doing as well is because they made poor choices in their life, and but then you go back to the old what I was talking about before about people working hard, where so that's not the factor. Now it's the choices. So what are we talking about in choices? Are we talking about making the right choices in terms of, say, Wall Street, picking the right stocks or derivatives? Because that's the way a lot of people have made their wealth, is through Wall Street, basically gambling on Wall Street. And when they made the wrong gamble, the wrong bet, then oftentimes they got, instead of losing their shirt, they got bonuses. I'm thinking back to the 2008 stock market crash. People made a lot of wrong choices there, but instead of going bankrupt, the people, we bailed them out. We bailed out the bankers. So we socialized the risk, we socialized the losses, but the gains were privatized by the banksters. So they made the wrong choices, but they still made. But they apparently made the right choices because they made the right choices in terms of what made them rich, but I don't see how that has anything to do with helping society. So what do you mean by making the right choices or the wrong choices? Are you talking about like gambling? Is that how the right wing thinks we should be running the country, based on making the right gambles, the right bets? I don't think that's what they really mean. So what do they mean? Should we get paid based on hard work? Okay, well then they pay the blue collar and the hourly white collar workers. Just pay them more. Let's redistribute some of the wealth back to where we started from. Okay, well I think that's all I wanted to say for now. There's I could go on further, but I just wanted to put this video out there, and hope it was informative. Thanks for watching, and good luck.